Hello, everyone, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for the 31st of July, Monday the 31st. This will be my last video until the 5th of September because Rob and I are heading on holidays. I will be hanging around the house and doing some outdoor work until the 11th of August. Got a funeral in there on the 3rd. Sort of not really on holidays, I guess, till the 4th, but pretending. And then on the 12th, we are heading out to the great road that lies ahead of us. We are heading through the States, going back up to Ontario, visit family reunion, coming back down through the States and doing a mixture of a triple D, the drive-ins, diners, and dives, and great barbecue, Michael Simon style trip. So I'm going to have to do a lot of walking, I think, to balance out all these meals that Rob has planned for us as we travel. One thing, though, is I will be in Louisville, Kentucky, and I will get to meet one of our subscribers, Kim. And then I'm going to be, before that, on our first day of travel, we're heading for Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I might be able to see another Kim on Sunday morning. So let me know where you live, and if I'm coming through your town, I might just get hold of you. If email me at rev.rachelparker@gmail.com and tell me where you live. Don't put it in the comments. It's nobody else's business unless you want to. But if you email me, and the email address, if you didn't get it, is in the link. If you go to the channel, you can check out my email address, my contact information, and let me know. Because if I'm in, within 15 or 20 minutes of your home, maybe we can get together for coffee. Oh, that would be totally cool. Get some selfies, is one Kim asked that we could do. And I'm also going to be trying to do taking little snippets of video throughout my whole vacation for 3 weeks. And then Rob, who is my editor par excellence, when he has time to do it, he doesn't do them for Church at Home, but he used to do them for church during COVID. And he did do a Church at Home for me 2 years ago when we took a little trip to Calgary and Banff and Cold Lake, and we did a video, pulled everything together, and he did a great job on that. So you can look forward to that sometime in early September. I'll give you a little synopsis of how things went on Church at Home. But I'm totally, like, if you let me know where you live, and if you live anywhere near where I'm going to be, then I will do everything I can to see if we can't have 20 minutes to grab a coffee and say hello in person. That would be cool. Today I want to talk a little bit about something. I was driving to Vermilion yesterday for church, and I had the radio on, and I didn't want to listen to podcasts. I just had the news on, like MSNBC, I think. And they were talking about endorsements and, all these Republican primary candidates who are, fighting for endorsements and how everybody, it seems weird. Everybody wants to be endorsed by Trump. I don't get that myself. And when you're running against him, you'd think you'd want to stay as clear of him as you could, but oh well. And I got to think about endorsements and the people that we want to say, hey, pay attention to this person. I mean, as a YouTube person, as a miniature YouTube personality, it would be totally cool to be endorsed by somebody who, threw people your way to build your channel. I have been endorsed by Ed Travers, which is totally awesome, and a lot of you came there from him, and I appreciate that, because the quality of people who are watching Ed Travers, that's a good group of people. And Ed Travers is good people. If you have not met him before, you need to. If you haven't watched his channel before, you need to check him out. He is salt of the earth, honest to God, an awesome, awesome priest and human being. I had the privilege of knowing him when I worked in Halifax in Nova Scotia. And well, he was still in Shelburne when I was there. He now is serving in the parish that's butt up against my old parish. I was in Arm Lake, and he Armdale, and he is at St. Margaret of Scotland, and in Halifax. All the time in the world for him. There is not a better guy out there. So what you hear from Ed, that's solid. That's who he is. What you see is what you get, and he's a blessing. So I did get sort of an endorsement from him a couple of times. He threw people my way, and I appreciate that. But thinking about that, like, who is it that you want to say, you would be proud to have them say, yeah, you should check out so-and-so. She's a good person, or he's a good head. I think that that's really important, especially in the world we live in, when these endorsements are so, they seem to be so important. Now, endorsements don't have to be about politics. Endorsements can be about like a good mechanic. And I'm telling you, as a female, finding a good mechanic who doesn't take me for a ride because I'm a woman, or doesn't require my husband to bring in the car, that's huge. So if you ladies or gentlemen out there, if you know of a good mechanic, who gives an honest and fair deal to the women in your life, tell people, give your endorsement of that person, because that, things like that, honestly, are life changing for us. Like knowing you're not going to be charged for work that didn't get done because you just won't understand what they're saying. That is huge. That's kind of endorsement I'm talking about. Endorsements like good babysitters, those teenagers out there who are trying to figure out how to pay for their Lego or their education or their baseball glove, and they're really good with kids. Those are things that, those, that word of mouth, that, call Johnny over here. He's awesome with my kids. That stuff is huge. Word of mouth and the positive endorsements. Like when I think endorsement, I'm thinking good things, not tearing somebody down. That's not a negative endorsement. I'm sure there are such a thing out there, but forget those. I'm talking about those things where you honestly want someone to say, yeah, here's the person you need to talk to. This is the person you need to listen to. This is a book. This person wrote this book. You should read this book. You should, watch this YouTube channel. You should go get that CD. And by the way, it really is important for music people that we buy their music, not just download it cheaply. And now it's gotten more difficult because, um, like to buy a CD, you can buy them in the stores and you pay top dollar for them. And I don't mind doing that, except my vehicle does no longer have CD players in them. Everything's on my phone. But when we buy them off iTunes or Spotify and stuff, my sense is that the artist and then the writer of the music and all those things, they don't get very much of the proceeds. So anytime that we can support or endorse artists of any shape, we really should be doing that. So there, okay, there's my public service announcement for the day. But I got thinking about listening to all these people talking about how, so and so is endorsing Trump, or Trump is endorsing so and like this governor or this Republican um, Republican politician, and I got thinking about what does it mean for us to have endorsements, and do we want them? Who do we want to be endorsed by? There are people I don't want to be endorsed by. There are a couple people who sometimes comment, and I don't mean like the people. We've got a couple people who comment regularly on the channel who are, they push back. They make me think. They're a little bit challenging, and I appreciate that. I'm glad they do, because if I live in a little echo chamber where I only hear good things, then I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to think about a different perspective to what I've said. So they're awesome. But every once in a while, you get that person who's just being nasty. Those are not the kind of endorsements I want. I want, I don't want that person who tells me I can't be a priest because I'm a woman or because of what I look like or something like that. I don't want them to tell their friends to watch my channel just so they can all pile on. What I would love is we could have a conversation. We could, so that's not the kind of endorsement I want. I want those kinds of endorsements where people say, hey, you should check out this channel because, she makes me think, or she's encouraging, or, she makes mistakes and she admits them and it's kind of refreshing, that kind of thing. But who do you want to endorse you? In our world, in the American world, Trump and the word endorsement seem to go hand in hand all the time. Up here in Canada, north of the border, there are people who, that if I was working around, if I wanted to, hit those hot button names, somebody might say, well, you could be endorsed by Danielle Smith or Rachel Notley. I'm trying to balance this out. Danielle Smith is the ultra conservative, more Republican, like more MAGA Republican kind of politician here in Alberta. She is our premier, elected in with a majority, not a huge majority, but a majority. And Rachel Notley is our not Democratic. She's a new Democrat. So she is the lefter of the three parties. So Canada, we have a 3+ party system. So we have the Conservative Party, we have the Liberal Party, and then we have the New Democratic Party, New Democrats. So Conservatives blue, Liberals red, New Democrats are orange. We also have other groups like the Bloc Québécois on a national level, which is really only for Quebec, but they get a number of seats in our federal government. Um, but But really, there is no liberals. There are liberal candidates in Alberta are few and far between because the Conservatives have a stranglehold on Alberta. But the NDP do pretty good. And so while I obviously, from everything I've said, lean more toward Rachel Notley, and it's not just because I love her name, but because of her political stance, um, do I really want either one of them to endorse me? Not really. If I was in politics, absolutely, I would want the endorsement of someone who could help me then introduce me to people, get me doors open, get me votes. But in my life, I don't want either one of them to say, hey, here's this awesome person, Rachel Parker. I don't want an endorsement by someone who, by the nature of what they do, is polarized. Now, I really like Rachel Notley, and I don't find her to be a polarizing person, but by the nature of her work as as the leader of the New Democrat Party and the leader of the opposition in Alberta, she comes down on one side, as her antagonist Danielle Smith comes down on the other side. Same thing on the federal level. I think there's Pierre Polievre, who is the national leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, and Pierre Trudeau, who is the national leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, and he is our prime minister. And some of you know which way I lean there. It's pretty obvious, but and I also know though that those are both again very polarizing people. Even bigger, so amazingly, than Daniel Smith and Rachel Notley. Again, if you were to align yourself with Pierre Poilievre, there are very, very distinct things that say, well, if you agree with him, then you are this kind of person. Or if you agree with Justin Trudeau, then you are this kind of person. I'd rather lean that way than the other, but topic for another day, toward an election day. And I got thinking about that as driving along to Vermilion, beautiful day, sun's out, perfect day for an outdoor community worship service. And thinking, well, okay, when people are striving for all these endorsements, who would I want to be endorsed by? Because what they say, if they endorse me, that would indicate to people that that's something that I believe in. Like I align myself with what they believe in. And I realized I'd want to be endorsed by Jesus. And now, even for those of you who aren't Christian or you struggle with the faith, Jesus as a person, for what he stood for, he didn't condemn people, but he called people to think. He invited people to take a good look in the mirror and say, is what I'm seeing beautiful and healthy? Is it loving and inclusive? Or am I being judgmental? He went around and healed people and he offered them food. They feed the 5,000. He fed them, even though I used that gospel in a workshop I did yesterday in Cold Lake. He fed the 5,000, but really he didn't feed the 5,000. What he did was he said to the people who were gathered with the little bit of food they had, he said, gather it all together. Here, bring it all in. You think you only have 2 loaves and 5 fish. But when everybody came together and brought their little bit that they brought with them, because they're smart people, they were going out for the day, they weren't going out going to hungry, there were no Subways or McDonald's around then. When they all loosened up a little bit and said, well, I've got a little bit to contribute, and everybody piled in, miraculously, Jesus was able to take everything that was presented to him, and he fed 5,000 and still had baskets left over. Not because he snapped his finger and said, abracadabra, kalamazoo, zap, we've got, 12,000 loaves of fish, or loaves of bread and 8,000 fish. What he did was say, come unto me, all you who are hungry, and will feed you. And everybody was there, and they gave and they brought what they did. And the disciples gathered everything that was there up, and they had more than enough. That's the kind of person I want to be endorsed by. And that doesn't even get into the divinity of Jesus or the miracles that he did, or the death on the cross and the rising from the dead and the salvation that I believe he has given. If we take it right back to simply who he was as a person when he walked this life like all of us. If somebody asked me whose endorsement of anywhere in your life, that whole, if you could sit and have a coffee with anybody ever from history, alive or dead, who would you choose? Well, Jesus. Um, However, if somebody said to me, if you could have the endorsement of anybody, live or dead, who would it be? Jesus in a heartbeat. Jesus in a heartbeat. Because if I could live a life that Jesus would say to other people, yeah, pay attention to her. She's on the right track. She's not going to lead you astray. Then everything would be worth it. Totally worth it. So as I head off for holidays, and as you let me know where you live so that I can figure out if I might be near you, and as I take some time to recoup and refresh and read books and take pictures and see scenery and just probably sleep a lot, a lot, know that know that I will not, one thing that will not change, my hair will change again. The gray will start to show, it'll get longer before I come back. But one thing that won't change is my absolute desire that everything I do on this channel for Church at Home with Rachel and on the other one, on Gospel on the Go with Rachel, everything I do is really in an effort to know that, if I'm doing this the way I'm called to do it, then Jesus would have no problem endorsing me. So yeah, I do want to be endorsed. I do want people to know that someone supports me and encourages me, and that someone is Jesus. I hope that you find yourself in a place where you recognize that it would be cool to be endorsed by Jesus too. God bless you all. Thank you so much for being with me for the last couple of years as I've done this Church at Home thing. I, honest to God, this gives me joy, and it fills me with hope, and it gives me something when I'm really like, bleh. It gives me something to think about and to look forward to every day, is to check out your comments and see how everybody's doing, and just know that we're all in this together. And my other question for you is, feel free to comment, is wherever you live, would I be comfortable and safe wearing this t-shirt? I keep thinking, the brave part of me, I should be wearing that t-shirt my whole trip. And then the part of me that's like, you're a bloody coward, keeps thinking, probably not. I'm thinking probably not with some of my family members, but at my family reunion. But, will I or won't I take this t-shirt with me and wear it as I go on my travels? Please give me your advice. Have a great day. Have a great month of August, everybody, and a great Labor Day weekend. And I will see you back, refreshed, ready to go on Tuesday, September 5th, with bells on. I can't wait to see you all again. God bless you and have a great summer.